Okay, we'll get started tonight. We'll start off with the pledge, the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'd like to welcome everybody to the December 10th, 2024 meeting here at the Town Hall. It's actually really hard to believe how quick this year has gone by. So, we'll have the roll call on the board.
Dan Wicker, President.
Brietta Pitcock present.
Rex Snyder present.
Gene Gabbard present.
Nathan Ulrich is present. All right. First off, we need to decide who our officers are going to be for the next year. And this position for the president and the vice president would take effect as of January 1, and you would be in charge of the town council meeting for next January. We'll confirm the date and the time here in just a moment, but first thing we need to do is have the council elect a president. That will be our first motion.
I would elect you.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second for Nathan. Is there any other motions?
Make motion close the nominations.
Motion's closed. All those in favor of having Nathan Ulrich as the president for 2025, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, now we'll have a motion for the vice president's position.
Rex seemed to do a good job this past year. We'll do him again.
All right, there's a motion for Rex. Is there a second?
Second.
Ladies, there's a motion and a second. Is there any other motions? Vote for a motion to be closed. Okay, all in favor of Rex being the vice president, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, currently this year, we met on the second Tuesday of each month at 6 p.m. Would we like to continue that in 2025, or would we like to change that?
Works for me.
Continue.
Okay. We got a motion from Gene and a second from Bree. Keep it the same. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes. I'll read off the council or the commissioner for the different categories that we have. These don't necessarily mean a super amount of deal because we all vote on things here at the meeting, but if something is going on within the town and it needs kind of immediate attention or actually somebody from the board to look at it a little closer, these would be the people on those committees. And I'll read these just for the folks to hear at home. So for the lights is Gene Gabbard and Rex Snyder. For the water department is Nathan Ulrich and Rex Snyder. For the park is Bree Pitcock and Dan Wicker. For the cemetery is Bree Pitcock and Dan Wicker. For the streets is Gene Gabbard and Nathan Ulrich. Is everyone okay with keeping those positions?
Yes.
Yes.
Make
Okay.
a motion we leave like this.
All right, there's a motion to leave those as is. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Two more things that take a little bit extra work, and that is Nathan Ulrich is the representative to IMPA, which is the Indiana Municipal Power Agency. And then we have Rex, and he'll have to help me with the abbreviation for EIRPC. I think it's Eastern Indiana Planning
Yeah, some planning commission.
Commission
stuff,
of some types.
Yeah.
Regional planning.
Regional. And how often, IMPA meets once a month, how often does that meet?
Once every 3 months.
Every
Every
3
quarter.
months a quarter? Okay, is there a motion to keep both of those representatives
I'll
in
make
place?
that motion.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, next up, if everyone's had a chance to go over the minutes and the adjustments that Julie has presented, we'll have a motion to approve those.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. All right, Mr. Policeman, you're up. You got a report for us tonight?
I do. So we had a total of 45 calls this month within Dublin. Would you guys like a breakdown of all those? There's
Yeah, just like what each one
decent
was.
amount of them. So we had 5 animal calls, 1 business check, 3 community policing calls, 1 escort, 1 flag down, 1 illegal burn, 1 investigate burglary residential, 1 investigation. We had livestock in the roadway, 1 of those. Mental emotional person, we had 1. Missing person, we had 1. We had 1 MBA property damage or a wreck. A parking complaint, had 1 of. Peace officer detail, we had 1. A personal assist, we had 1. Sick person, we assisted on 1. Speak with officer, we had 2 of those. Special patrol, we had 3. Suspicious activity, 1. Suspicious person, 1. And suspicious vehicle, 1. Had 8 traffic stops, 1 trespassing, 2 unwanted persons, 1 vehicle lockout, 1 VIN check, 1 wanted person, and 1 welfare check.
I do know we had an issue with, and it may be that illegal burn that you're speaking of. Do you know if that particular person was cited? We kind of asked that that be done.
I do not.
It was.
He was.
He was cited? Okay, yeah, I was not on that illegal burn. I could definitely look more into it for you guys if that's what you would like, but.
I got a copy of the,
Okay.
for our records.
Perfect. All right, any questions for the police report? All right, thank you, sir, appreciate it. Fire report.
November 24, ALS 0 runs, BLS 115, 911 with Reed 3, 0 fire runs, and 0 water usage.
Any questions for the fire report? All right, thank you, sir.
What the hell was that?
That's advanced life support runs and basic life support runs for the ambulance.
Okay.
All right, Lenny, we got for a building commissioner's report, sir.
We just had one, 240 North Founder siding.
Any questions for the building commissioner from the board? Okay, you want to step on into your superintendent's role, sir?
You guys have your permits, or your reports, and that's about it. I don't really have too much at this moment. Oh, I guess I do.
You got more than you think you got.
I do. I was trying to get by without it.
No, I have enough stuff.
So you guys have somewhat of a blueprint here that was drawn up by Cecil for us on the at the park around the fountain. Everybody see this
I
is
forgot, I made more, so you guys have 2 copies.
so just that's the plan. Probably won't take effect until spring, but that's when we'll look to.
Are you asking us to pick an option, or are you picking the option?
It's up to whatever you guys want, whatever Julie wants. It doesn't matter to me.
Well,
I
know
kinda
personally,
like-
I don't like the first one, it looks like a weed patch on it.
Yeah, I
Other
don't
than
like the
that.
first one.
Kind of thought a mixture of the daylilies and these 2, and kind of mix them in this. Didn't want to keep it all the way around because kids got to be able to get to the water fountain without stepping on everything.
Yep.
But thinking if we kind of mix them, then that gives us a little more color.
Does these on 4 have to be trimmed, or are they a limited growth plant? Do you know?
They're a low maintenance. It says low scape, so they're not a very.
They don't have to be, I was just wondering if something's got to go trim 2 or 3 times a year,
No, you don't.
clean up after.
I like the chokeberry.
That's at number 4?
Mhm.
Okay.
I'd say anything but 1 and 2 looks good for me. Make it pretty.
I like 3 and 4.
That's a good mix. Or 3, 4, and 5, but.
That's what Julie was thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do believe that's.
Just a variety of something with a little color and a little bloom to it that don't have to be maintained.
Right. And
It's fine with me.
And that's what Cecil did for us. He went through and got plants that were low maintenance, and they didn't get very big, but they had some color, and then just gave options, so.
Who did it?
Cecil,
Finland.
Penland.
Oh, I thought,
Ryder?
Ryder was doing it.
No, he didn't get back with us, so they
Oh.
got Cecil to do it.
Okay, fine.
Are you still taking out the shrubs by the stone, or the headstone down there?
Absolutely.
Okay. You gonna put anything back there, or just gonna be,
No.
okay.
No, this will go about halfway, right here, about
Right.
probably from that stone all the way around to the other side,
Okay.
straight across. So,
We'll go on the high side wall there, so yeah.
yeah, around that rock wall. Kind of, maybe it'll help keep kids off of it as well too. I don't know. We'll see, but I doubt it. But we can always hope, right?
Yeah.
Always
Go
hope.
if you like. I wouldn't be holding breath any.
Lenny, as I understand, the lead vac is not working currently. You want to tell us about that?
Well, it's got a fuel issue, and I'm not sure if it's. I'll try and put another electric pump on it to see if that'll fix it. And I'll probably have to pull the injection pump off and send it out.
With the truck or with the,
Lead back.
the engine on the back itself?
Yeah, the back itself.
Do you think at this point we can fix it in-house?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, the worst thing I have to do is pull the pump off of it and send it to get it refilled, so. And that would probably take a good minute because as old as it is, finding somebody that has the parts to do that.
I don't know which truck you call 1 and 2, but I'll call the box truck, was having some seal leaks. Are we still having issues with that?
On
The engine seal?
truck
Probably.
two?
Yeah.
Truck two.
Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Is that something we need to start addressing pretty soon, or where do you feel we're at with that?
It's coming and going, so, I mean, we stay on top of the oil and keep it
What's
checked.
actually
but-
leaking?
Huh?
What's actually
The
leaking?
rear seal's leaking.
The engine oil?
Mhm. Yeah, it comes and goes. I mean, sometimes it will leak, sometimes it won't. And-
Like a quarter month or less?
Oh, less. Yeah, it's less
There's
than
nothing
that.
super serious.
No, it's minute. I mean, it's very small.
A lot of these additives out, I have very little faith in them, but there's some additives out there supposed to swell the seals up, make them stop leaking.
The problem is with that engine, that's a 5.4, and it has a little orifice in the, it's actually a sensor down in the top of the valve cover, and that oil has to stay at a certain consistency to be able to pass through that orifice to lube the timing chain adjuster to keep that tight. If you put a heavier oil in there, it plugs that up, and that's why timing chains go out on them.
Okay.
Me and Lenny, or Lenny and myself for proper English, went and looked at a bucket truck a couple of weeks ago. Did you hear any more from that guy after you left a message with him?
No.
They never called you back? Okay. Yeah, it looked like the perfect truck for our town. We were a little concerned about the height, might be a little too tall, but,
It would be.
so, but
Yeah,
it
it won't fit.
was very low miles, so we had like 6,000 miles or something on it.
Say it wouldn't fit in the garage?
On 38, what are the skate places up there? Up there at 38 and 109. Trying to think what town it is.
Marpleville?
Yeah,
That's where this one was at, Big Yellow.
big yellow one. See,
That was it.
Yeah.
This one we went and looked
It looked
at.
like it fit right in.
Yeah.
Did Mick get back with you?
He got back with me today, and he's going to put some things together, and he said he'd get a hold of me. So, just basically looking and seeing what options we do have and where we can go. I do know that there's somebody else that is interested in our truck. If we get a new one, they're interested in purchasing ours. So,
Did they give a financial offer, do you know of?
no,
It was another town.
another town.
Okay.
So.
And just for the record, Mick is the one that, we bought this bucket truck through. He goes out and searches different places and tries to, find.
Right, he's helped us find derrick trucks and stuff over the past years and stuff, so.
Cool. If he found this truck, he must be well experienced.
Yeah, he has been there many years, I mean, he's been there.
Yeah, cause he asked if you were still there and he asked if I was still there.
Yeah.
Where was the one you guys?
Markleville. Yep. It only had like 6,000 miles on it, something like that.
Yeah, it didn't have very many miles. They
It looked like a great truck.
went like
50,000.
50,000.
GMC, wasn't it?
There was like maybe one little rust spot on it. It was a 2-man bucket too, which was really nice.
But it's just too tall.
right, anything else to harass Lenny about tonight? Always on the hot seat? He's always
How
my
we doing on
favorite.
the street lights?
We're working on
Still coming along on them? Are you gaining any ground, or are they going out faster than you fix them?
No, we're going out faster, you got 3 more out now, so.
Yeah, but we just fixed 3.
Okay.
So at least you hold your own.
Wash.
And we did have to help a couple other towns put their Christmas lights up too, so that's taking,
Yeah.
taking a little time,
We
so.
have to do that yet too, that's this week, so. We do the best we can with what we got.
Appreciate it, sir.
Yep.
And you do got some vacation coming up in the next couple of weeks, so you'll be finishing that up, so enjoy that.
Yeah, hope we don't get no big snows or none of that.
I hope not. All right, nobody got anything else for Lenny? We're gonna put Rob and Thomas on a hot seat next. Welcome, gentlemen. Merry Christmas to you. And what you got for us tonight?
Let me choose what yours.
It just comes say, Mary.
I know. No, you know, he's up there a little bit on my end. You know, we've been in contact with you. Rob's gonna get into a lot more of this in detail. We've been in contact with USDA. That's why we got started on your application again. It appears that they do like the project.
We do too.
I know, you guys are fairly fond of it. And,
This is the same project we've been working on for the last year.
yep, same one.
And we're applying for it again?
We've never actually officially submitted our application for it.
Well, we did to
But
We did through
Through SRF, not through the federal government.
Okay.
So now, so we got ranked and scored back in July, and it wasn't a very favorable offer that we got from the state. So some of the conversations that Rob and his team had with some of the funding agencies are, you know, they just wanted the job or the scope of the project to kind of focus on one thing. So that led us back into USDA and starting our application again. And I'll let Rob get into some of those conversations he's had with Craig over at USDA and kind of what that timeline looks like, the forecast for that, and kind of expectations.
If you remember, when we submitted SRF, we submitted everything, right? It was $18-20 million project, so. They basically, it didn't score very well, but they basically came back, and RD was of the same mindset. You need to pare it down, because they only have so much money they can give out. So instead of trying to go after everything, let's do it in phases. So we had some preliminary discussions with USDA, told them what your situation was, told them what we had going on right now through the Okra project, told them that the water plant needs to be addressed, and there's some other things out in the distribution system, but they usually don't do this, but they gave a preliminary kind of overview of it from their standpoint and felt like it would score well on their end, such that they were fairly confident they could underwrite it. It's nice about RD or USDA is their 40-year loans, so it helps soften the blow a little bit. Whereas, given the scope of what we're looking at doing with SRF, you know, these treatment plants and all the mechanical pieces, parts, their useful life is 15 to 20 years. So you'd be looking at, with the SRF program, most likely a 20-year financing. So that in and of itself, the interest rates are somewhat similar. So that in and of itself lends us to kind of shift our focus back to RD. That being said, you know, our recommendation is let's go ahead and put our application back into SRF too. It doesn't hurt. And you know, one of the comments, and Thomas can speak on this, but most of the board is aware of it. One of the comments that SRF had come back with is, you know, did you guys look at regionalization? We addressed that, we think. We got the letters signed by our neighbors to kind of put that to bed, to show that we looked into it, and we can check that box and we can move on. So, you know, we're optimistic we'll score better, but there's also going to be new applications submitted with SRF again this year too. So that's why we want to hedge our bets with RD, and plus we've already had some preliminary discussions with them. We think they're going to score well. What does that mean for you guys? We want to get both applications in by the end of March. because that's SRF's deadline, but we want to go ahead and get the USDA application in the hopper. RD's fiscal year is a little bit different than the Indiana Finance Authority and SRF's, whereas the Finance Authority's fiscal year starts on July 1. USDA, because of the federal budgets, their fiscal year doesn't start until October 1. So we're in the middle, in the first quarter of RD's 2025 fiscal year already. 2026 fiscal year will start next October. What we want to do is get in line now. They know it's coming, get our application reviewed, and hope that as soon as that fiscal year opens up, they'll issue us what they call letter of conditions, which is their offer. There's a chance that some other communities and some other projects aren't going to be ready, who previously may have had $25 allocated to them. So again, if we go ahead and get in line, we may get access sooner rather than later. So that's kind of the driving force behind it. What we're doing on our end is, now that we have carved out that Okra project, we're going back in and updating that PER to reflect kind of the phase 1 was the Okra, and then what we're calling is phase 2 is that water plant, and then everything else is phase 3, but we're cleaning up the PER so that instead of presenting it as one giant fix everything project, we're paring it down to a recommended smaller project for that water plant. That's what would go in March to both agencies. We're updating costs right now because those costs are almost 2 years old. Thomas has been working with Julie to get some updated financial stuff. Lenny, I'm gonna circle up with you before you take some time off to pick up the rest of your operating reports from where we left off when we originally did the PER, just so I can update the tables to be current when we submit it again this spring. So that's what we're doing on that effort. From a timing standpoint, we went through this last year. The applications for SRF are due at the end of March. On or about that first week or so of July is when they publish their list of projects they want to fund. If we get in the fundable range, we'll want to immediately circle up with Baker Tilly and say, hey, you know, here's the project, here's the updated project cost now that we went after. SRF said we're in the fundable range, so then they start their backroom negotiations to see what kind of offer they're going to get from SRF, but then at the same time they got to figure out what the rate hit might be.
Right.
Running parallel to that, we could potentially get an offer from RD before October, and then it's if we get 2, then we'll come back to you guys and say, here's the offers. We can either try to marry them up to make the most bang for the buck, or Baker Tilly will tell us, no, it makes more sense to go this way, or it makes more sense to go that way. SRF is a little more constraint to it in that if they score us good enough that we're in their fundable range and there's opportunity to get access to those funds, they're going to want us to close in that same fiscal year, which means we'll have to accelerate through design and everything to be in a position. You know, if you get an offer in July, or worst case, early August, they're going to want you to close the following June. So that's from a time, you know, it's just you play by their rules if they're going to give you their money. But we'll work through that. Right now, the focus on our end is getting those applications updated and resubmitted, and then we're going to be in a holding pattern. What does that mean short term for us? We're going to come back in January and request that we have additional public hearings. You know, we did public hearings for the original PERs, but because we're updating them, they're going to want us to do another public meeting. We'll coordinate all that, but I want to get on one of your agendas, probably in February for that. We'll have to redo the SRF resolutions like we did last time. It is what it is. But that's all procedural stuff that we can get knocked out between now and March.
So how do you break down who gets which part of the puzzle?
As far as
Like SRF gets this part of the phase, or USDA gets this part of the phase, and we try to do it together at the same time?
they'll do it, we would want to do it simultaneously. And depending on everything that's included, you know, from the water plant standpoint, there's not a whole lot to carve out per se. We can certainly do that and blend them together, but I suspect what's gonna happen is, if we're fortunate enough to get an offer from both, then the rate consultants are just gonna say, it makes more sense to go this way or that way. And I say that because if one of them gives you grant, the other one's gonna be more hesitant to give you grant, and vice versa. Whereas if they were 0% interest or low interest loans, then it's kind of, it's an easier calculation to do, right? Because you're either spreading it out over 40 years or you're spreading it out over 20 years, and what makes the most sense. Both agencies will tell you they don't have any grant money, but then it seems like sometimes they just show up and say, oh, well, we can do this. A lot of it will depend, and this is something else I want to talk to you about. If we can get a copy of your lead line inventory, you know, SRF's going to look at you guys and say, if you've got any questionable ones that may be eligible for replacement, then they may look at us more favorably from their standpoint, because they know that not only can they help with the water plant, but they can also address this other issue. Whereas RD doesn't really worry about that too much. So,
Or at all.
or at all. But I've seen them use that as an excuse to help improve the interest rate. What I envision happening is, best case scenario, we get an RD offer and an SRF offer, and it's up to us to decide which one makes the most sense to us.
Will they both say, though, that they're mutually exclusive, that if you go with us, you can't do the other one?
No,
or?
because we've got, Frankton, Indiana is a great example. We're doing both wastewater and water utility projects that involve funding from both simultaneously at the same time.
And the reason you don't recommend both is they're both loans rather than grants, and it's gonna be hard to pay back both, is that it?
No, not necessarily. I'm not saying that I don't recommend both. I'm just saying the scope of this project is confined really to the site where the water plant and the wells are. It'd be different if we were doing the water plant and we were doing some line work out in the distribution system. That's an easy line to draw. One can pay for one, like SRF could pay for the water lines, because that's something that can have an extended financing on it. And RD can pay for the water plant because of those assets. They'll still finance them for 40 years where SRF wouldn't. So they can work together, but if we're just talking about building a new water plant, it's kind of hard to say, well, USDA, you pay for the pumps, and SRF, you pay for the filter. It'll be a bit more of a challenge to marry the two of them up. And beyond that, if both of them came back with some sort of grant offer, when they came together, when it was all said and done, most likely one of the grants would go away, and it would be offset by loan money. That's just how I've seen these work.
Well, so when you say they'd go away, meaning they'd withdraw themselves?
They pull the grant, they call the grant
So even
back.
though it doesn't say it's mutually exclusive, in effect, it sometimes is, if they learn of the other.
It potentially could be, yes.
They in the past, like before all the bipartisan infrastructure law money came down, which basically sucked all the money out of USDA and put it into SRFs, they didn't like working together. They didn't like whenever you were shopping, their offers around. Since the pots of money have kind of changed, we've seen them work a lot better together, to where even if they both come in with a grant offer, if SRF has a better grant offer, they're okay with the loan portion going to USDA since they do the 40-year. Or something along that line. I mean, that's a unique one, but they've worked together in the past.
And you got to remember, both agencies, each fiscal year, they only get a certain amount of funding allocated to them. The SRF programs are subsidized by the EPA, even though it's technically state money, and then USDA is federal money. But they've got, SRF will get 100 applications, and they're trying to help as many communities as they can. So we're seeing them work together more and more because, instead of giving Dublin $6 million, SRF may talk to RD and say, hey, if we give them 3 and you give them 3, that's frees up 3 on each of our side to go help somebody else. So we're seeing them work together more and more.
With the change in federal administration, would you foresee any changes in the USDA in the next year, or would it be even further than that?
I mean, we've been through it. It's kind of cyclical. I see it impacting more of the grant money going toward like the lead line projects than I do the traditional appropriations that go to like USDA. It really hasn't fallen off, and we've now been through, several administrations over the last 20 years. It's kind of crazy there. And the other thing to keep in mind about, like I use USDA as an example, each state gets an appropriation, but if the other states can't spend their money, it goes back into a federal pooling program, which states that have spent all their money get access to. And historically, Indiana's been, top 5, top 10 amongst all the states in successfully funding projects, using up their appropriations, and then even beyond that, getting access to those pooled funds that other states aren't taking advantage of. So I'm not concerned with the change in administration, and the folks that we're talking to within the agencies, they'll tell you, we hope we have, a continuing resolution so we can come to work next week, but it always seems like the Congress works things out at the 11th hour and life goes on.
Sure.
So that's kind of how I see things playing out.
So basically, we're more hurry and wait.
Unfortunately, yeah.
That's with everything.
This okra money you're talking about, have we started spending any of it yet, or what have we done with it?
We haven't received a pay app from
We
the
haven't got it
contract.
yet? I thought we had it.
You have the money. We haven't received a request from payment from your contractor yet. But we have the money. That's already been closed, and we have access to it.
That's my understanding. I just wondered if anything been done with it yet.
Well, they've been ordering material. They just haven't asked. They're well within their right to request payment on stored material. They just haven't done that yet.
Sure.
We're still working through
When are they gonna start
submit.
something with that, or do you have any idea yet?
Pardon?
When are they gonna start something with it, or?
They're telling us.
Or is this something we can do before the others come through, or
They're
they kinda have to tie together?
Well, you're talking about this other project being tied to it? They're mutually exclusive at this point. What your current Okra contractor's telling us is it looks like mid to late January when they're gonna mobilize.
And do what?
I think they wanna start with the meters, is what they're telling us.
The meters?
Yes. We're waiting for an official schedule from them. There's been a lot of back and forth dialogue by emails. We haven't got a formal schedule. We won't pay them until we get that schedule. But in the interim, they've been submitting all the we call them shop drawings, where they say this is the pump we want to use and this is the valve we want to use, and we've got to review it and sign off on it. There's been a lot of back and forth of that going on right now, but the update that I received earlier today was they're targeting, mid to late January where they're going to mobilize, and once they mobilize, they're going to get it and get after it.
They're committed.
Yes.
And these meters are something that are gonna be easier to read than the ones we've got?
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, we have
This is what you wanted?
like 200 and some of those meters already.
It's the same ones. We're just doing the rest of
Basically,
it.
the guys just drive down the street and the radio receiver picks it up instead of actually having to open the lid and
Okay.
physically read the.
That's what I understood, but I didn't
So
know.
it saves a lot of manpower and time.
Right.
And we have half of them,
You already
over
got
half
them
of
in
them in place. We just
And there's
needed
no
the money
issue
to
with accuracy.
finish it.
Somebody writes down a typo or whatever.
Then we're going to clean the wells and do some upgrades at the wells, and then there's some valve and hydrant work that we're going to do
That's
also.
still with the okra money.
Yes.
On a work order for a hydrant, do you know what color it's gonna be, red or yellow?
Yellow.
Yellow? Okay.
That's what I was just told, to make sure they're yellow.
Okay.
I told him he could have any color he wants. You
Yeah,
tell
I
me
know.
what color you want.
As long as it's yellow.
That was an option. Pantone purple, that's what we used to put in Florida. But that's where we're at on that.
thanks for the update.
You guys, have anybody tried to get into Procore, just to
Yeah,
poke
I get all the
around?
emails
Yeah.
from
Okay,
the,
all right.
Yeah.
All right, good.
I guess you call it the shop boarders or whatever, so.
Yeah, yeah, I just
I
wanna make
got
sure
3 or 4
you're
today, I think.
not having any issues with it.
No,
All right, good.
sometimes I don't know what I'm reading, but I get them.
Same.
Anything out?
No.
Okay.
Thanks
all
for
I
the
got.
update.
Mhm.
Keep pushing forward hard. So, have a good Christmas season, holiday season.
You
So,
too.
appreciate you coming.
See you next year.
We'll huddle up after the first of the year.
Mhm.
One of us will try to get to your first meeting in January. We can talk about dates for those public meetings that we need to do for those funding applications.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Uh-huh.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Anything else on that agenda you want to stick around for?
I don't think so. It's gonna be contracts from here on out, so. I think you're good.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Take care.
see ya.
Thanks, guys. See you, Lenny.
See you, Lanny.
All right, Julie's on the hot seat next with the clerk's report.
Okay, let me get down here where we're at. You should have your report that shows your building, burn permit, golf cart, all in one.
Everybody's
have
still within legal range.
Yeah.
Good.
Time cards and fuel and all that. That is it for my reports. I did include encumbrances that wanted to encumber into next year. The sidewalks, which is part of the Okra, well, not, yeah, it is part of Okra money, that we got through the county. He's talked to you last week, said he wanted to get started here real soon.
Yeah, I just talked to him this afternoon, actually, when I got off work. They were getting ready to start over at the church over here,
Okay.
so. I did let him know that there was gonna be a Christmas Eve service there, but that needed to be finished up by then, and he said if he thinks it's gonna be a problem, he'll move on, and then he'll come back to it, so.
And at this point, I'm only seeing two encumbrances, and that is the sidewalks and then bulldozing. For now, we're still doing that, and it's the same amount every year. He sends me that, gets me that at the end of the year, where he's pushed off the railroad throughout the year. He only sends me a bill once a year for that, so. Don't have to vote on them, just letting you know what will be encumbered.
Any questions for Julie on those 2 items?
That's all I have on that one.
Very good. All right, into old business. Last month, we talked about and had it presented to us, the additional appropriation for the library so they could get their roof replaced for $7,120. And we need to approve that.
Yes.
And then we all have to check yay.
Yes.
This is the official copy, or you have an
No,
official?
I have.
Okay. So we need a motion to approve that.
I make a motion, we approve the taxpayer additional appropriations for library.
There's a motion and a second for the library to get their roof repaired. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
I thought the roof was already done.
It is.
It is.
Oh, okay.
This is
Gotta pay
just,
for it.
Yeah, I'm like, I thought we already
We
approved
should have
that.
voted no.
This is how government works.
yes. They did a public hearing and they went through that, but because
Check.
it's part of, how do I explain
The
that?
town's fiscal body has to approve anything that the library
Thank you.
does.
So it had to be, we had to have the public hearing and go through the process. So we had to re-vote on.
Is there any other old business that's not on the agenda? That's the only item on the agenda. Okay, we'll go into new business.
Yep. I may talk about the senior housing.
Sure.
You know, you guys had talked about donating that excess land to them. Indiana statutes allow almost free range between governmental units, that you can sell it for whatever you want, donate it if you want. And I don't know why I had in mind that they were some form of governmental unit. They're not, they're a nonprofit. And so consequently, you have to use a little different procedure. You can give adjoining property owners some, a leg up, but you have to give public, if there's some property that the town no longer wants or needs, you have to give public notice that it's now on the market, and set a nominal price for it. Now, you could say $1 or whatever, but then other people can make offers on that, not only the adjoining property owner. Well, because they're leasing some, I was looking to see if there's any exceptions. So far, I can't find any exceptions, and I worry that if we put a public notice in, somebody's gonna come in and say, hey, we'll pay $5,000, we'll pay $10,000.
Put a hog farm on.
Yeah, and screw up the senior housing. So unless I can find another exception, one thing you could do is continue to lease it to them for 100 years and give them all free reign to do whatever they want. You can do that without offering it to the public. But I'm still working on seeing if there's some exception, because that lease, that you can treat them like a governmental entity, so that you don't have to give public notice to others to come in and buy it. So I just wanted to give you the update of where I'm at and why I'm at that point.
Is there another adjoining property to that?
Yeah, Webb and Sharps.
The one side is, but the one side's not, because the one side's between the building and the park,
Yeah,
where like the gazebo is.
yeah.
So there's actually two pieces.
Yeah. And as far as how much preference you can give to adjoining property owners, a little debatable, but you still have to at least offer. And so I suppose if they came in and said, we'll pay $1, and somebody else says, we'll pay 10,000. And of course, the whole purpose of this is so that they don't want municipalities to be playing favorites. They want you to get the most you can for anything that you're giving up. And so that's why the law says it is. And so as much as you want to try to help the housing, we have to go through some hoops that I wasn't thinking that we had to do because of treating it as another governmental entity, but it's really not. So I will keep you posted, hopefully maybe know something to do.
Okay.
So basically, to the original question, they still cannot give away the swing set yet.
Oh, yeah. as far
That's
as
what
the
started
swing
this,
set. Yeah, that is
actually.
what started as far as the swing set. I suppose you could abandon the swing set and say it's of no value and give it to them and let them do whatever they want to with it.
Is that motion worthy?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we could start out with that.
I don't have to advertise that.
No, as far as just donating, giving the swing set.
Abandon.
You're abandoning something of no value,
Okay,
that I think you can do.
okay.
I don't know, who's gonna argue about the swing set? I would take that.
I don't even know if there's even any swings on it, honestly.
There aren't.
So, do they have somebody that wants it, is that
Mhm.
what it is?
That's what started this whole conversation.
Okay.
And then we realized that we actually owned that piece of land
Land,
that the swing
and
was
then it
on.
led into the land,
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
So, can they even make it, does the swing set for sure belong to the town?
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
it does.
Well, via the
It
school,
belonged
the
to the
school
school, I
installed
reckon.
it, and then we
Yeah,
acquired
you
it.
acquired it with
Yeah.
the property.
So instead
I think
of us-
I'd hold my nose on, if they have somebody that wants to get that swing set down before winter, I can hold my nose to that.
Okay.
What about the basketball court and the uprights and stuff?
Well, that was
is it
kind of
ours
all-
too, or
yeah.
is it on our property
Yeah.
too?
That was kind of the idea, to get rid of this piece
Mhm.
of land and let them.
Yeah,
Right.
that would probably go with the
Maintain
land.
it.
I'd be a little hesitant to start giving away all the basketball courts,
Correct.
et cetera, but as far as the swing set, and what you can say, because of the tenant has been taking care of that, and it's of nominal value, that there's a motion to allow them to remove it and do with as they wish. How's that sound for a motion?
Sounds great to me.
Yes.
So you need that motion?
You, at
Whatever he
least get
said.
that check off of our list.
Whatever he said.
We're going to consider the
confused
swing
already.
set of no value and release the ownership of that to
To the
the
tenant.
Western Wayne Affordable Housing.
Yeah.
So, Eugene made a motion.
I'll second it.
Second from Dan. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any
I
opposed?
have a question here, quick, since Danny's on the board,
Danny can't vote.
he can't,
And
he can't,
he
he
can't
can't
vote.
second him.
No,
Okay.
So I'll second it.
okay.
And then myself and Bree and Jean will vote yay.
And I won't vote.
All right, we abstain.
Dan and Rex will abstain from this vote.
Thank you. I got a lot of that going on this time.
Yeah, I wanna make sure it's clear before we got too far away.
So we can
Yes.
check that off the list, and next year you can keep working on the
I'll keep
property.
trying to figure out a way to get rid of the property.
Okay.
And more than likely, nobody probably even realized that till we started this conversation, so. Okay, the next up on the list is the annual DCC grant, which is the Dublin Community Club, where they hold the weekend skates, and they do family reunions and private parties and so forth, so.
You said grant, but I think you mean contract.
What'd I say, grant?
Uh-huh.
Concussion's still kicking in. Yes, exactly. I did that at the Citizen of the Year banquet the other night. I called somebody by the wrong name and had no idea I did it. It's like,
Dang, I guess I should have.
okay, so if everyone's had a chance to read over the annual agreement, the only thing we did change or add this time, because I noticed it wasn't in there before, was add at the, on the termination of the lease, we added 60 days in there. We just had it was kind of vague.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve the Dublin Community Club lease.
I'll second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
And nobody is on that board, right?
Right.
Okay. Just checking.
How much of that grant did they get?
They've gotten a lot of grants lately, actually. They're getting a lot of stuff from the hospital foundation and REMC. But from what I gather, I don't know the exact numbers. From what I gather, they got enough right now to replace all the carpet in the what I call like the social room or game room
Yeah.
where the tables and stuff are at. So
Are they wanting to replace the floor out there?
they're wanting to install new wood floor, but it's a huge, astronomical amount of
I
money.
know.
But they also want to make sure we get all the leaks around the building fixed too. So Lenny did a bunch of work down there over this past summer, and I think after that they only had one small leak come in. Would be the northeast corner, and that was like a torrential downpour we had that day.
Well, the downspout was off.
So I'm not surprised that it leaked, because I mean everything else in town was flooded. So it was a very small thing. So I think we're starting to stay ahead of the game on that. Thank
Did
goodness.
they
But-
get a grant to get all the air conditioners fixed and stuff?
Yes.
Heaters and-
Yeah, so they have totally redid. Now, there's a couple that doesn't need it yet, but all of their air conditioning and heating that was outdated had all been replaced.
Okay, good.
So they're doing really well, actually, so pretty proud of how that board's keeping things going, so. A big pat on their back. Okay, so we got that approved?
Yes.
You did get the 60 in there, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, I was just looking for it here.
Well, it wasn't in the packet one.
No, it was not in the packet one. Right here, 60 days.
I don't think mine says that, so you got a different copy than I got?
Yes,
Okay,
I've got that.
that's why I was sitting here looking. You wanna do them all at once, or?
We can do them all at once.
Okay.
That's fine.
All right, next up is the fire department contract. It's a lot more lengthier, but it's a lot more older too. And a lot of times over the years, we just kind of copy and pasted. And a lot of stuff in it was really outdated, so we kind of went through and did some adjustments, some changes, some deletions. I don't know if we did any additions.
I did reinsert some of the stuff that I think we talked about past time. I assume you included that in the draft now. And do they have that newest?
Yes, they have the newest one.
Is there any questions over that? Okay, motion to approve it, and myself and Rex will have to abstain from this as members of the department.
Okay, I'll make the motion to approve the Dublin Volunteer Fire Department contract.
Okay, motion from Bree, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Jean, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstains? Nathan abstains, Rex abstains?
You're not with the fire department anymore, Dan?
No.
No, he's retired.
Roof is retired.
He's sitting on the sidelines now. Bless his heart. What'd you get, 60 years in?
62.
62? That's wonderful.
Wow.
I hope I get 60 in. That was 62.
Gary, how many you got in so far?
55 or 6,
55.
I think.
We don't let Nathan drive it.
Yeah. Back to town business. All right, next up is Ryan Dara's mowing agreement. He takes care of the 3 cemeteries in town for us. And he has a total cost of $18,000. And we pay him year round just to help balance out the expenditures for Julie. I don't think anything's changed in that I know
So
of.
that basically what last year's was, wasn't it?
Yes,
The price didn't increase.
no.
I'll make a motion, we accept his.
Okay. Motion by Dan to accept Ryan Dara's $18,000.
I'll second.
Second by Rex. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes on that one. Letter of agreement. All right, this is where Julie's gonna have to help us a little bit with what the Trex letter of agreement is.
Okay, the Trex program is, it's a clearinghouse where we can submit outstanding balances to, I don't even know who it actually goes to.
Kind of collection agency.
It's, yeah, but they will match it with people's state tax check, and it will withhold those funds, just like they can do with child support and other things. They have extended that to municipalities, and they already do it for counties, but they extended that to municipalities. And we've done a really good job in the last couple of years getting money that otherwise we would not have received. And basically, this is just an agreement to allow them to submit the letter to those people, and then they have 30 days from the time they get that letter.
It's primarily for your utility billings.
Yes. Yes.
And do they
it is.
take a percentage then of what, how are they compensated?
No, they charge their own fee over and above, which is actually cheaper than collections, because collections will charge
Okay,
50%.
percentage of what you-
And this program only charges $20, I do believe, 20 or 25. And then if they have other things, if the federal side of it has things, then you might have additional. But we get 100% of, well, we get whatever we can get from their tax check. And then their fee is separate from what we get. And we can keep putting it in, you know, if they don't have enough this year, we can keep putting it back in year after year until the balance is taken care of.
It looks like the only cost to us is just basically for their mailing cost.
Yes, $3 a letter.
So, that, would you, per se, Bob, this would give more bite, you think?
Oh, well,
in order
and
for
it's a
collection?
no-brainer. I mean, you can't afford to hire me to do the collections. If you had a collection agency, they take 50%. So this is absolutely a benefit to you guys.
Do you need a motion here on this?
Yes, sir.
I make a motion to accept the letter agreement.
Second.
All right, we got a motion and a second to accept a new agreement with the Association of Indiana Counties for we'll call it a Trex agreement for collection of unpaid balances for our utilities. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. That puts us up to the Keystone quotes that we've got from Julie. She's
There
got a
are,
lot of them here.
yes, there are two. The first one is voicemail. This is a program, this is part of our Keystone, even though it says Boise owns Keystone. So that is part of my software. Currently, we put everything on cards. They're okay with the billing cards. They don't really care for the disconnect notices on those because it could be a disconnect notice or whatever. But so far they've allowed us to continue to do that. But when we started with the post office ordeal, I'm not sure when this happened, a few years back, I send my bills out a week before they're due just to give people an extra week to budget and that. I don't know whether it goes to Muncie or Indianapolis, but I had a lot of people that would say, hey, I just got a disconnect notice and then a week later got my bill. So there was a lot of problems there, and talking to the post office and Keystone, the only option that we came up with was doing the bills in post office box order, which means I have 4 cards to a paper. And so I actually, instead of taking a bunch of them and tearing them apart and just putting them in a pile and sorting them, I actually have to do one at a time and take those 4 and put those in order, and then do 4 more and put those in order, so that I can take those directly to the post office, and then she will take care of them without sending them out. So this kind of takes care of that, because that process takes about 2 days off of me to have them do it. They also do the disconnects. We still read them, we still verify them, and then when we're satisfied with the billing and stuff, we submit a file to them, and then they take care of mailing everything out, which they can get, probably since they do so many, can get it processed a lot faster than we're getting them processed.
So as other municipalities are doing this now, are there any problems with it or anything like that you know of?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
The ones that I've seen use this seem to be happy with it, for the ones that I've gotten a response back from. The nice thing about it is you'll see there's examples of the bills. It gives them, kind of like their gas bill, it gives them their water consumption or electric consumption for the whole year. So they can, because a lot of people will go, well, my bill last month wasn't this high, but they may be in a different heating or cooling month. So this kind of gives them the ability to go back for a whole year and see. They can also go online and get their total and pay online, which they can pay online now, but this may be a different option for them. And then it gives us an option here to where we can put events and other things add to the bill that we've not been able to do before either.
Did you say that if there is a disconnect, do they send that now too?
They would send that.
Because there are certain legal requirements that I've helped on their cards in the past.
Yes.
To give notice, and I just would want to make sure that they followed all those rules.
Yes. Yes.
So we're gonna be getting a different bill than what we normally get?
You would be getting a paper bill in an envelope instead of
So the
a
card?
little card.
So we got the one-time fee of the $1,045 and the one-time fee of the $440, right?
Right,
And then the cents is per postage,
right,
which is just whatever postage cost.
right.
Does this remove any work then from you then, basically?
That's pretty much what it does, is removing work from me, because at this point, I don't see hiring. I have Terry come in maybe 4 to 6 times a month to help out on the billing side, taking money and that kind of stuff. Other than that, I've pretty well taken responsibility for Nancy's job, and I don't see needing to change that at any point in the near
And more than
future.
likely, this would probably cut down on our printing
It
and paper
would.
cost.
Yeah, all the other stuff that goes
Copiers,
with
we know how
it.
expensive they are.
Exactly.
So currently, you create a disconnect notice,
Yes.
and then you hand it to the post office across the counter, and she puts it in their box?
If it's in order.
No.
No.
The bills I do, the disconnect notices, I have to stamp every single one of them, and then they go out and come back. So,
Oh, I misunderstood you.
She won't personally touch the disconnect, they gotta be processed.
Right.
what do you mean?
I
What
thought
are
you
you-
said you handed it to the lady at the post office.
I do it for the bills. I go through and I sort them all, and then I also have to sort what goes in Dublin, Cambridge, out of town, and that. I sort out,
Well, she
4
kinda
different
does that
size.
as a favor.
but yes, she does that as a favor so that they're not going out and coming back so late.
Right, but we can't do that. You
Mhm.
can't hand mail to the post office. She's not supposed to do that. And I don't want anybody to get.
No, she can do it because I'm paying for it and I'm processing it, and she's taking it and she's just going ahead and putting it in all their mailboxes.
Yeah, I thought that had to run through their system with the meters.
Cambridge does it as well.
I
I think they still do that for a lot of the smaller communities, but this would resolve that.
Yeah, that's
as
what I
that's, yeah.
Yeah.
And
Well,
the
'cause at
fact
one
that
time
everything
we
is
had
in
an
an envelope.
in-town box, and we had an out-of-town box,
Yeah,
so I
we
think,
don't have all that stuff
Right.
anymore. But yeah, this would resolve that where
Yeah.
her or anybody isn't seeing everybody else, cause if they mistakenly put one in the wrong box, they see all your information, they see your, that kind of stuff, so it
Yeah, I like
kinda
this
eliminates
better.
that.
okay, we need a motion to approve this, quote from Boyce. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes,
Boyce, I make a motion to accept the agreement with Boyce for a new billing process,
the voicemail system.
voicemail.
All right, Rex made a motion, is there a second?
Sure.
All right, second by Gene, all in favor, aye? Any
Aye.
opposed? All right, motion passes.
I'm good with it, I just had a couple more questions on these. The next page, with the $600.
Oh, that's a different one.
We
Oh,
ain't got
that's
to that
We
yet.
separate.
haven't- Yeah,
Okay.
that's separate.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. This is,
So now, what did this actually cost us?
The 1,045 and the 440, just a one-time fee for
One-time
basic
fee.
printing cost.
We had one time a year or one time at all?
One
One
time.
period.
that's one-time setup fee.
Okay.
There is not a charge then any other year?
You have maintenance costs like we do all the rest of our stuff. It's not included in here. It just says you will have your normal maintenance
What's
costs.
the normal maintenance cost, could be 100, could be 1,000?
I don't know what that is. They give me that every year for
We're
all my
already paying that
programs.
normal maintenance
Yes, we're
cost,
already paying,
so maybe it'll be a little more, but we're not sure.
right. I don't know that yet. I won't know that until, I don't think it says on the back of this. That just talks about postage.
Annual license renewal and maintenance fee.
Where are you at?
On the second one, the $600 one we're gonna talk about, annual maintenance.
That's different than this one.
Right, but
Yes, all programs will be subject to an annual license renewal and maintenance fee. Maintenance rates change annually, but they are quoted on this one for the positive pay. I'm not doing the asset, I just wanted a quote from them, so I kinda have an idea for a future on that one. But the positive pay is what we are doing with, the bank. So, this will be added to our fund and payroll option, and if we do both of them, then it goes from 600 to 475 each. To go through and submit the checks to them after we write checks, send in all those checks and everything over to the bank so that they can verify that. When people present checks, to make sure that they're to the right people and it's for the right amount. That's what the positive pay is. And right now,
Why do we need these guys to do that? You can't
This-
just simply make a payment and.
well, they
Send it to the right
don't do
spot.
that, they're just they're setting me up a file that I can give to the bank. We had to do that with the bank because, if you remember right, we got hacked and they were scrubbing checks that I had written and had been cashed. And somebody got a hold of those checks and scrubbed them and cashed checks for, I think it was for $600 or $800, and then $2,500. We had quite a few, we had like 5 different checks. And so we started positive pay program with the bank.
with the bank, that's what we
Yes.
approved last
We
month.
approved with the bank. So what happens is every day they process when someone brings a presents a check to be cashed, then they submit to me, hey, I've got a check from you, these many people, and this is what it's for. And I have to go in there with each check and verify all of that stuff. What this does is it sends, like the ones we're getting ready to approve, it will send a mass file to them for payroll and for all the checks, so that they don't have to send daily logs and stuff. They don't have to hold checks, they can go ahead and cash them.
So why do we have to pay the bank for this service and Boyce for this service?
Well, we don't have to do this, this is just an option.
I
The
mean, I
bank,
feel
we
like we're already
do.
paying the bank,
Okay,
right? We approved that already.
right,
I just feel it's redundant.
okay. That's fine. This is just on my end, but that's fine. I can do it manual, that's what I do now.
Okay.
And that's working okay?
And that, yeah, I guess we can see how it goes for a while, and if
Yep.
something changes, we could revisit it.
Yep, and that's fine. I'm good with that.
Okay?
Just keep that on the back burner. If we have issues,
Yep,
bring it back up.
yep.
The other one was more important. The bill,
Yeah, I like
the-
that.
The mail
I
was
like
more
that
important.
better than the postcards, yes.
All right, so we're up to resolution 7/2024.
Year-end transfers, just between funds, making sure that I don't have any negatives if we've paid some, so we just transfer between the funds to
I
make sure
just saw it.
it looks like this.
Oh, okay.
Yep, right here.
Says installed by Town of Dublin on top. That one there.
We do this a couple times a year, just to make sure everything's in balance.
Yeah, I make a motion to approve transfer R7-2024.
All right, there's a motion on the floor for resolution 7/2024. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes. Anyone have any other new business that didn't meet the agenda? Bob, I got a vague question because I don't want to give a lot of information over the airwaves. What can we do to, and we started the conversation as far as the state level, but for somebody that does not live in the state anymore, as far as pursuing getting our unpaid utility bills from them, if it's a very large amount?
So that somebody who's out of state and is not gonna be subject to one of these income tax.
Correct.
That can only be done within Indiana.
Residents, yeah. All you can do is contact an attorney where they are, get a judgment against them, try to collect against any assets that they might have there.
And what if we don't exactly know where they live? Is there any type of a search process that we can legally do?
Oh, yeah, I mean.
Well, the collection agency would do that if it's under
Yeah, if
collection.
you did use a collection agency, they would go through that. Otherwise, you can look on social media. I mean, I've had to look up people around the nation, try to find a current address for them. But I'm not sure you want to spend my time doing it. If any of you have,
We stopped using the collection agency when we started trucks, but I do still have some people that had already been going through them and we left them, so that's still an option,
did you know
yes.
if they are in an adjoining state? Because
I was gonna,
I was gonna say, finance
I've
company in
heard Kentucky,
Richmond.
but that's only rumor.
Okay, finance company in Richmond has, I think, offices, or at least has ability to collect in Ohio as well, so if it's over there, that would be a way to go. But it's whatever you wanna do, but I think your options are somewhat limited, either a collection agency or try to find an attorney on your own through me in that state where they are to sue them once you know where their address is.
so on the, you said for trucks, they have to be an Indiana resident, because just because they aren't living
They're
in
getting their
Indiana
taxes.
doesn't mean they don't have to file a
Well,
2024 Indiana return.
If they only, it will only pull if they have an Indiana return. I guess I
That's a good
just.
point.
So
There
that's
there
what
could
I'm
be some
saying,
people who have to
people
file
work
it.
in different states and they still file.
This year, I would assume this person will have,
Should.
should have,
Should
have
file a Indiana
paperwork for
return.
Indiana, yeah.
So maybe we give it one more year.
I guess would we be able to get the mailing information when that happens? I mean, what type of information would Trex give us? I mean, could we pursue further with address and?
Yeah, they give us that information as well.
So I don't wanna let that drop, so
Okay.
we can keep our eyeballs on how to make that work, so.
So they did live and work in Indiana in 2024,
Yes,
so they should be required to file.
yes.
Okay. Let's not forget about that, so.
Yeah, let me know if there's anything else I can do to help either locate an attorney or help secure an address if there's something we can do.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, any other business to bring up before we
We've already done this
pay the
stuff.
bills?
We've already done this stuff with Hook and.
Yep, that's the encumbrances.
Hook and sidewalk, we've already done,
Uh-huh.
taken care of that.
Yep.
2 pages behind.
All right, we need a motion to approve the claims.
I'll make that motion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And the final of the night would be to approve the financial reports. Any surprises, Julie, we should be aware about?
No, I think we're good.
Perfect.
What's the issue with Big B right now?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they've been bought out by Rumpke is really all we know. The transition happens on the 19th of this month. We suspect that our contract will stay valid until it expires.
Yeah.
But that's really all we know at this time. Apparently, it was just a quick transition.
Okay.
Bob,
They have
I
to
was
honor
gonna
it.
ask you, that's what I was gonna ask you, I thought they did.
No, they would
Yeah.
have to honor that, that would have been one of the assets they had
Yes.
purchased with B&B, and so they have to do it according to that contract, not any of Rumpke's new
Yep.
deals, so. Now, when this one expires, it'll be
Yeah,
We'd have to
which
do-
we figured even with Big B, because this contract was actually before, set before COVID, I think, so this would, theirs would have gone up too.
you may get better service.
So basically,
Definitely.
nothing's gonna happen for them till the contract runs out, which is when?
June of 26,
June of 26.
uh-huh.
Okay. So we're basically gonna stay.
Now, and if I recall
Business as
correctly, I
usual.
don't have it with me, I think there's an automatic renewal unless you give
Right.
notice
Right,
80, 90 something days beforehand.
Mhm.
So let's keep track of that because you don't want something to be automatically renewed. I mean, you may still want to do a new one, but you don't want it to be automatically renewed.
It'll be interesting on how
You would
service
think Rumpke
changes
yeah.
has to do a new contract anyway, right?
They probably will.
under their name.
Right.
Yeah. All right, we need a motion to approve the financial report.
I make a motion.
All right, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All right, motion passes.
Let's adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. We will see you next January and hope you have a good New Year in between.
Same right back at